Hello, you are listening to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. Your host, Erica Sakosio, invites you to join her community of passionate and inspiring leaders in the ECE field, where she discusses, reflects, and shares the best ways to invest in our children, families, teachers, and community. Because after all, we know they are the heartbeat of any successful program.
Hey guys, it's Erica Sakosio here with the Childcare Director's Chair podcast, and I would like to personally invite you to be part of our community of passionate, inspiring ECE leaders, where we discuss, we learn, and we reflect about all the things that support our teachers, our children, our family, and our communities. I'm very excited today. We have a wonderful guest who you probably will know. It is Julie Bartkus, and she is an author. She is a coach. She is a national speaker. She does so many things, and this is what she does full time. Like, this is her life, is helping other childcare owners just like you, just like me, make their staff happy. She is all about work life cultures. She is about motivating your team, and all things that make you happy and groovy. So welcome to the show, Julie.
Erica, thank you so much for having me. And I love that word groovy. I haven't heard it in a long time, but I do love it.
So tell folks a little bit about how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Well, it goes way back. I've been doing this for well over 20 years now. And, there's a long version of the story. There's a shorter version of the story. So maybe I'll give you kind of like the halfway in between. But I was basically in corporate America, and I have had childcare experience, worked almost every position in childcare, went into corporate, and then I started facing some difficulties in my life. And I was in an abusive relationship. And I was going through a divorce process, and I started listening to motivational speakers, people like Les Brown, who started filling my head with these new thoughts about my life, new thoughts about the possibilities of who I could become. And once I started hearing his messages and feeling the impact in my life and how his words were changing my life, I'm like, you know what? If there's one thing I could do in my life to change other people's lives with my words, that would be like the best thing ever. So I left corporate America, went out, started speaking, and then in my audience would be a childcare director, would be a childcare owner, and I'd be talking about gossip and workplace conflict and building successful businesses and all that. And they'd be like, oh, you need to come and you need to talk to us. We need to spend more time with you. So then I founded a company at the time called Motivate Teachers, which was all about motivating your team. And we've evolved on several different planes in several different directions since then. But it was really about a shift in my own personal life, thinking about the possibilities of who I was and who I could become, and how one person's words can leave a lifelong permanent impact on your heart and your soul and inspire you to be different. And that's what I vowed for the rest of my life that I would be doing. And that's what I feel blessed to do to this day.
Yes, I love it, and I connect with all of those things. I too listen to motivational speeches on a daily basis. My favorite is ET, which is weird because most folks wouldn't make that connection. Yeah. So growing up poor, I think there's a lot of that hunger. If you will.
And that's what Les Brown says, is that it's, you got to feel the hunger, and that's what inspires the transformation. I find a lot of people, even owners, are like, oh my gosh, I was in an abusive relationship and I was in an abusive, so they really connect on those levels. And that's why I encourage all of our owners, don't be afraid to share your story, because that's what allows people to connect with you. Mm-hmm. And for you to align with the right clients is by you being vulnerable and transparent, sharing that story, and really connecting with people in an authentic and genuine way.
Yeah. So Julie, before we hop into the actual nitty gritty of the topic, let's talk about why is it even important? Why, as a childcare owner, should they even care about having happy teams? What does that mean for their business? What does that mean for not even just your business part? What does it mean for you as a person to go into a place where everybody's happy, right? So let's talk about why that's important.
Yeah, and there's a couple different spokes to this wheel, right? So if we look at a happy team, we know studies show that happy teams are more productive. Happy teams make a more profitable business. And if you take care of your team and they're happy, what do you think is going to be the onflow onto your customers, onto your clients, onto your parents? They're going to be happy. So that's a big part of it, is creating that successful business. And I have a business success, a childcare business success diagram, and people are always at, one of the cores of it. So it goes like vision and then your people, because you've got to be aligned with the right people to be supporting that vision. So that's a big part of it. Successful business, typically happy people.
Yeah.
And when we think about it ourselves, how inspired are you to go into work when you're not feeling happy? And I consult with a lot of childcare owners, childcare directors who've lost that happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And we go on a mission, a little journey together to help them refine or reclaim that happiness so that they could reconnect with the heart of their business, that they could
Yeah.
reconnect with the heart of their work.
Yeah. And I what I would like to say is, as a childcare owner who currently runs multiple childcare centers, I think even before you can connect with your people, you have to be able to connect with yourself, because
Mm,
right? So it's
yeah.
really important, because as you said, so many of us in the last 4 years have felt beat up, kicked
Mm,
around, exhausted, right?
right.
For many, many reasons. But I think you have to start with taking care of yourself, being that light, and then spreading it throughout your team. So I feel like that's really where it starts is
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that, those are such profound points. And that's such a great awareness that you have and that you're bringing everybody through this podcast. So it's a great service that you're providing here. But I forgot who said it. And you may have heard this too, but they always say, like, you should fill your cup. You should fill your
Yeah.
cup so you have enough to give to others. But
Yeah.
one little twist on that saying that I heard that I just am so in love with is that you should fill your cup for you. And then
Yeah.
the overflow to that
Goes to
cup
others.
is what goes to
Yes.
others, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah. So can we talk a little bit about how directors can effectively boost staff morale and create a positive work environment? Like, what does that look like? Can you maybe describe what it is first, and then we can talk about how do we get it?
Yeah. Well, we've got blueprints and plans of action, so we could dig deep into a lot of these things. But if we were to look at some of the overall methodologies for what I teach, is to really understand that there's a top down dynamic at play. And the top down dynamic, and I'm writing a whole book on this, but the top down dynamic basically states that whatever we model at the top of our organization, so our owners, our directors, whatever we're modeling, is really going to be the protocol that's set throughout the entire organization. So I believe that if you want to transform your team and experience a happier workplace, that you could do it almost without saying a word to your staff, that you
Mm-hmm.
could just start implementing the right action and then watch how everybody changes and how everybody shifts underneath you. So if I were to really look at the main thing of motivation, I would say become really aware of what demotivates your staff. And when I was working, or when I first started consulting in childcare programs, I would go in and, man, some of them were beautiful. Heated baby floors, Keurig machines before Keurigs were cool. And I remember them saying to me, Julie, we've got 7 sites, we're successful, the bank account's flowing, whatever, but we don't have a motivated staff. We can't attract the right staff. And I'm looking around like, this place is like gorgeous, right? Why not? So I started interviewing every single level of staff. And I did this
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly, from the cooks to the bus driver to the teachers, assistant teachers, directors, everybody. I interviewed, I took copious notes, and then I formulated my 5-step plan of action for managing, motivating, and retaining great staff.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to look at your question, and the basic answer is, well, pay attention and get really familiar with the top down dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you bring up that example, because I live that example. So I don't have the fanciest center. We definitely don't have heated floors. I have a nice center, but it certainly doesn't have all the bells and whistles. But our retention is amazing. I have people that have worked with me 20 years, 15
Beautiful.
years. Most of the folks who leave are retiring. And a lot of folks say, the reason they stay at our center is it feels really like a family. And my center is called Family Tree. And I'm like, well, the name was intentional, but it was more than a name. It really is important. And I'm Italian, so some of that is part of my culture of making people feel loved and welcome and part of a community. But yeah, I don't really worry when new centers pop up around me. They're newer, they're fancier, they're brighter, because I feel really confident in what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with. And so my confidence exudes, and it, like you said, it trickles. And sometimes when people leave, they always come back too. And we have a little joke. And we'll say, okay, we'll see you in 6 months, right? The grass
Right.
is not greener. But yeah, I feel like not only does it come from the top down, but I think it really is just important to keep your finger on the pulse of your own self. What are you doing, right? Especially if you're having a bad day, or you come in and you're grumpy, and like that's gonna trickle out to your team. So you got to
Oh,
really be
absolutely.
self-aware. You definitely have to be self.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm Dan Heath. On the What It's Like to Be podcast, I ask folks about their jobs, like what keeps a TV meteorologist up at night.
When I'm at work and there's a tornado coming into town, my husband and my kids have to get into the tornado shelter without me.
What keeps a welder driven?
I never am satisfied. I always know I can do better.
And what keeps a hairstylist on her toes?
I know she likes that Holly Berry haircut, but she doesn't look like Holly Berry.
Find out on What It's Like to Be, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and when we look at one of the first steps for experiencing workplace transformation, I always talk about how your thoughts, your attitudes, and your actions are all highly contagious. But it's easy to say, okay, yeah, my actions are highly contagious, but your thoughts
Yeah.
and your attitudes, right, which is what you're projecting. So great here.
Yeah. And I think too, like you had said, you listen in the morning to motivational speeches, and I feel like everybody should, because it's almost like it releases this like endorphins, almost like the same as when you like work out in the morning. Like you
Yes.
feel it's like a boost, right? It's like a boost. I don't drink coffee, but it's like a boost. Like it's like this mental and physical like boost of today is going to be a great day, and I
Yeah.
can really tackle anything. So it's a great way to elevate your mood, especially if you're feeling a little
Yeah.
down. 15 minutes, even the drive to work, right? We don't have a lot of time, but even the drive to work, it's a great way to reset your mindset. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. And for the leaders who do that, I think you have an amazing advantage. And the truth is, when you look at this industry, and this industry specifically, we hear a lot of negative things every single day about us, about the industry, about no staff, about this. And we could choose to believe all of those things that are
Mhm.
going in through our ears. And I'm very audio. So when I hear
Mhm.
things, it's like, okay, new truth coming into my brain. But you've got to purposefully decide which truth you want to live
Mhm.
inside of your head. And that's what you're doing so amazingly well, is you're listening that 15 minutes. It's like, woohoo, I'm going to decide what's going on.
Mhm.
And it is a dopamine rush, right? It's like, woo, okay, now I got these feel good chemicals going on,
Yeah.
new words in my head. And now I can go forward and project a different attitude and take different actions.
Yeah. And it's funny because you're right, because that's all we hear is a lot of negative around our field right now,
Mhm.
whether it's there's a lack of childcare, whether it's there's a lack of staff, whether parents can't afford it, whether state funded pre-K is coming to wipe everybody out in the industry.
Right.
Like there's a lot. So it's interesting because we started to do on Fridays something called In the News on our podcast. And so I will Google what's in the news for childcare, and I try to find some things that might be innovative or different or interesting, who's leading the charge, because again, we all have to work together. We decide whether we're going to let our industry crash or not, right? Because if we're
Yep.
innovative and find other ways to make it work, whether it's partnering with state funded pre-K, becoming a state funded pre-K, having a combination, whatever works for your business, but working with small businesses and say, let me be your place of choice, right? Because the local big businesses are not going to start their own childcare centers. They're going to need someone to run them. So maybe that person is you. But anyway,
Right.
going back to like the negative stuff, like I purposely will try to find stories about good things that are going on in the field right now, because we can't keep hearing negative. We've heard
Oh,
that for
yeah.
4 years. And that's some of why people are like well, it's time to sell. Like they're telling us, oh, we're not going to make it. No, we're pretty resilient. Just like our
Very
children,
resilient.
we're very
Yes,
resilient.
very
And
resilient.
I mean, no one like early childhood leaders, we can make, toys out of cardboard boxes, people. Like
Right,
we're
right.
used to working on the smallest budgets and we still make it work. So,
Yes.
so let's talk about, I know you have a lot of conversations right now around toxic talk. So,
Mm.
what are some common signs of toxic team talk, and how can directors address it? Because if you don't address it, it is like an open wound.
Yeah,
So,
and I think it was like I don't know, a gift from the universe one day where it was like, go start a little show called Toxic Team Talk. And a lot of people that have come to me for help over the years are ones who are in pain. There's gossip, there's negativity, there's drama, there's blaming, complaining, no shows, absenteeism, turnover, all these different things going on. So I'm like, all right, we're going to start a little free webinar series here, Toxic Team Talk, see where it goes. But, one of the biggest things, and I think we become aware of when it is going on, but the biggest thing to pay attention to is your own pain. So you might be in emotional pain. You might even be starting to experience, like some of the owners who've called me over the years, like my health is suffering because of this, because we're tolerating so much. And this is a very pain tolerant industry, especially when we're mostly women who are incredibly passionate, incredibly heartfelt, right? We would give up our shirt if somebody needed it, even if we'd have to sit there with no shirt on. But we would do that. We would give up a lot for the people who are around us. But when we do that, it puts us in a state of, we're very tolerant to the pain. And then sometimes we don't recognize when we're in it. So we have to really look at, well, what's the pain in my organization? So am I feeling pain, or am I seeing pain of others? So am I seeing others checking out emotionally or actually physically walking out the door? Are there unresolved issues that are going on? Are people not showing up for staff meetings? Are they not really tuned into, like, if I say, oh, we're going to change something up for the betterment of the center, if they're not like cheering and they're like feeling resentful about it, those would be signs and symptoms to look for. So be in tune with your own pain, number one, and ask yourself the important question, what am I tolerating? Write that list down and say, okay, I'm becoming aware now. I'm really tolerating a lot. And I would say keep that list with you on an ongoing basis so that you could keep adding to it. But pain and our internal thoughts about what's going on in our workplace is one of the biggest clues to me, and one of the biggest things that we like to talk about, because that's what we want to change. When somebody works with me, it's like, okay, let's change how you feel, right? We want, like Erica, to be happy coming into the workplace. So we want to really change that so you authentically and genuinely feel that way. But a lot of leaders are walking around, and then when needed, they pull a smile on a stick, is what I call it, out of their drawer, and they go, oh, interview time, put the smile on a stick on. Oh, parent coming in, smile on a stick, it's there. So then we like fake it because we're not really feeling it. But we want to get to a place where you really feel it.
Yeah. So that's all great advice. Let's leave folks with maybe an actionable step. All right. Let's say, Julie, I'm tolerating a lot. People aren't showing up to meetings, not wearing uniforms, pretty much making their own schedules, coming in late with the Dunkin' cup. What would you recommend? You're smiling because right? You've heard this before.
Right.
What would you recommend? I'm the director of that center. What do you recommend? What's my next step? I'm aware of it. Now what?
So once you're aware of it and you're ready to change it, one thing that we want to do is really cast a vision for what it is that you want to bring to life. So then we want to create, open up the creative channels to what it is that you want to experience. Because a lot of the time throughout the day, it becomes less about the vision and more about managing the day by stress. So we're managing every single day by what stress do I have? What fires do I put out? And that becomes the mission of the week, of the day, of the hour. But we want to really change that dynamic to where we're focusing on, hey, what is that vision? What's that thing I'm really excited about and I want to bring to life? And then we start revolving everything around that vision. So your interview questions are around that vision. How you run your staff meetings is around that vision. How you onboard new staff is all about that vision. So we really want to make the vision the center and focal point of everything that you do and bring that to life. I always think, Erica, it's like, if you were following, I don't know if you've ever been on the road and you got caught behind a semi truck. Have you ever had that experience?
I have.
Yeah. And how long do you like to stay behind that semi truck?
I don't. I watch too much Final Destination, so I don't. And my cars are usually low. I drive a Mustang. You can't see over them. I can't see the light if it turns red, green, or yellow. No, I don't like to be near a truck at all. Not behind, not on the side.
Now, I want you to think about your staff riding behind that semi truck every single day, and you being behind that semi truck. Because when we don't have a vision and we're not managing by that vision, we can't see where we're going. We can't see around all the stress and the obstacles. All we see is what's in front of us. And then we just get irritated, aggravated, but we're still staying in that situation, trying to get to that end point of our day. So we really want to not drive behind a semi truck and really open it up to like, gosh, we're going to now navigate towards a bigger vision. And it's going to be exciting and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that is fantastic advice. And wow, what a wonderful analogy. That really puts it in perspective.
All right. So one thing I would like to leave the audience with is don't give up on your dream. You have the desire and the vision inside of you for a reason. Support yourself with people who will feed you those positive words to help you take the action that's going to grow your business, that's going to grow your program, that's going to really increase your overall happiness in life.
That's definitely good advice. Tell folks a little bit about, I know you're an author. Tell folks a little bit about the books and resources that you have available.
Sure. So currently in physical form, you could go to Amazon. We do have the best-selling Childcare Business Success book. You could pick that up. And we also have Toxic Team Talk, which is our new weekly free, no-cost event. If you want to join us, you could go to www.toxicteamtalk.com. And we've got a lot of resources. So we've got 5 simple steps to help you manage, motivate, and retain great staff. We've got a whole Happy Together community, because one of the things that people have been telling me for many, many years, owners and directors, is, Julie, we just want to have everybody come to work and be happy working together. So I'm like, okay, we're going to create a program, Happy Together. So I just launched that a couple years ago as a new effort on our part.
It's a great, beautiful vision. I love it. I love it. So I could talk to you all day. You have such wonderful wisdom. I love your energy. I love watching you on all of the different social media places, and most of my team are in your group. So I just had to have you on the show. I wish we had more time. We will share in the links below how you can get a hold of Julie if you want to learn more about what she's doing, if you want to learn more about how to keep your staff happy, how to find great staff, how to keep them motivated, and all the things that make you feel groovy. So again, this is the Childcare Directors Chair podcast. If you like this episode, we'd love to ask if you could do us a favor, hit the subscribe button here, there, wherever it is on your TV. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a review. It only takes a couple minutes. It's the little details that make a big impact on the success of your childcare business. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good day.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.